Right, I've put the battery in. It's at 13 and something volts, which is a good thing about a moto bat. I've just plumbed it in for now, but it sits in the tray nicely. There is a locking tray that's missing, but I just want to see if it'll just thump it over. Hopefully I've not removed any ignition wireage. Ooh, that's good. Right, let's see what it does. Well, that is a lot quicker. What I'm going to do is there is fuel in the carbs, because I noticed fuel on the in the pipe, but I might just connect the tank back up quickly. But first I'm going to check for sparkage. Good sparkage. I think it's time to stick some starchy bastard straight in the intake, down the plug hole, see what it does. Right, I've just tried it on the old IV fuel system, and we have got a good spark, as you've seen. And I've just come round and we've got coolant, but I've tried it a few times now off camera, and I'm starting to drain the battery. Like I say, if these don't crack off quickly, it soon deadens the battery. What I will do is just turn it on now and spin it over so you can hear it. And the sprag clutch is definitely missing, so I'm going to have to order the hopefully, fingers crossed, it's just the ball bearing part. It usually is. Got some green crusties. That'll have to be sorted out. That's simple, that's not bad corrosion. And I found out that indeed is indification. Still not worked out what that is. That is definitely headlight, and I have the headlight loom coming from Germany, and it's a strange one because half of it is for a halogen and the other half is for the high beam. So the other half is like a 2-wire spade connector, and the other half is a normal halogen, and then you've got your little side light loom in between. I've not figured out what that is yet. I've only had a very quick look at the old wiring diagram. This is for the dash lights apparently, but what I'm going to do is you've got a revometer cable and you've got a speedometer cable, and I'm going to take the clocks off and then just go through the loom of the clocks, make sure all the connectors are good, make sure the bulbs are good, and I can do that just by putting a test 12 volt to it basically. And that is indeed the other indification unit, which is going to need respeeding basically. There's basically a command wire and a power wire and a command wire which will turn them on and off. And so without further ado, I will let you hear this clutch. Very common problem. I don't know if the BMWs do it. They probably do. Interestingly enough, I went on to a specialist BMW spares place called Moto Bins, and they didn't even list that bearing. And even places like Wamoto list the bearing for the Aprilia. It was definitely an Aprilia known issue. So whether BMW cured it, altered the design, I have no idea. But we know we're good for fluids. And get on the little bugger. There we go. You're supposed to do the oil tank upright, but as I've spun it over, the oil pressure light's going straight out, which is good. This is totally the incorrect way to check the oil, but I'm a child, so... Oh, there's a bit on the end. There's a bit on the end, but what I'm probably going to do is, when I'm in the process of doing the sprag clutch, I'm going to drop the oil anyway, do the filter, and then we know there's the correct amount of oil in it for when we attempt the restart. But I'm guessing a dodgy sprag clutch can cause a slow turnover. we shall see. I'm going to go and have a look at the service manual now, because the starter motorage is just there, and if it's easy enough just to whip out and clean it up, I'd like to go over all the power and grounds on it, although there's not a lot of corrosion, to be fair, so we'll see. So I'm going to leave this little section here, and the next time we see the Aprilia, I shall probably be fitting the spraggage of the clutchage. Yes. Well, I'm in the process of removing this cover. Bear in mind, if that's genuine mileage, it's quite low. 37,000, and that is in kilometres. So, I don't know, what's that, 20 something thousand miles? And the sprag clutch is gone. So, you know, if that's genuine mileage, we'll soon find out by checking the MOT history, but I've got to wait for the logbook to come back before we can do that. But I don't think this cover's been off, so this is probably the first time the sprag clutch is gone. As usual, one nut won't come out on the exhaust heat shield. It just gives me better access to a top bolt here, but I've managed to get it out. The only other reason that I suspect it's never been off is the state of the bolts. They're all bone fucking dry, and also this hose still has the original single-use clip on it, and that's a breather, I do believe. So I'm going to crack on, and we already have a broken bolt there, which I didn't do, and to be quite honest, the chain guards, it's good enough with the 2 bolts, so I'm not too bothered about that. So yes, I'll crack on with that. Right, all the cover bolts are off, well, all the way. You're saying they're all out, you've left one there, look, you bloody idiot. Anyway, apart from that one, they're all out. And unusually, I say unusually, it's probably normal for a Rotax, I've never had the side off a Rotax, is all the bolts are exactly the same size, so you don't have to make yourself a silly little template. Actually, they're not silly, they work brilliantly. So I'm just looking for a couple of pry points. There is one there, which will pry against the chain, and there's one underneath. It should come off fairly easily. I don't know whether it's located by studs, but this is a no going back moment, because if I do this, then we've got to order the gasket and all that lot. It's not an issue, it's got to be fixed, because it's never going to bloody start as it is. And that was a fully charged 13 point something volt battery, and it didn't want to know, so it is struggling to do something in here. Now we might find absolute carnage, or we might just find worn bearings, but I think it's just worth replacing the bearing. Nice crusty. Yes, I will sort that out. Here we are, our first peek behind the cover. Interestingly, this looks like a new gasket, and I'm not sure as whether that isn't a replacement stator, because all the other ones I've seen are bare wire. They've not got the old protection insulation in, so maybe it's had a new stator in its life, which is perfectly fine. This is your inside, your starter, motor linkage and gears, flywheel. Of course, I forgot it was going to be a bit of a bugger to get off because of the magnetic influence of these. Yes, I was thinking there is, I don't know whether it's me seeing things, but there is the odd metal shaving on those magnets, so I'm wondering if there is going to be carnage behind here. Oh look, there's some as well, a little bit of forbidden glitter. Now if the bearings have gone, it's entirely possible it could, one of the bearings has probably foobarred itself. But yes, I've now got to just trace this wire back, and unplug the stator, and then we can remove the cover away. Yes. So I have the nut off, and I've just actually ordered the puller, because I've got a feeling that, yes, my friends have got pullers the correct sizes. Steve's got a full set for it. Oh, sorry, Uncle Steve. Flatulence. More flatulence. He does have a full set of pullers. I'm very welcome to borrow them and all this lot, but I've got a funny feeling that if I were to keep this bike in the old shed family, we're probably going to be doing this job more than once, and I get very, very impatient when I'm doing stuff, and if I've got the parts especially, and I've got the tools to do it and the time, it's like, get the fucker done. And if I've got to go and borrow stuff, return it and all this lot, it's added time. So I have ordered the proper puller for this. That's wood, by the way. That's just detritus that fell off one of the tools. Anyway, I watched a video on how to do this on YouTube. It wasn't in English, but it was very, very good, because he basically monkey see, monkey doed, and it was pretty easy. Once we get this flywheel off, everything we need to get at is behind it. But a fair amount of oil came out his. That's all that's come out of this. So let me just tip the little bastard level, because it's dry sump. Look at that, we're not really losing any. Oh, we're getting a little bit of a pissy dribble out, but without, I'm just looking the other side, make sure the side stands all right. So I think we're a touch low on oil, because I think Mark said the front section of the frame here is the oil tank, which would make it the first oil in frame bike I've had, or that's been in the shed family rather. The hose came off all right. I got the one-time use clip on. I've got those style clips, so I shall replace that. The stator has been replaced, because that has definitely been replugged. It doesn't look like by the plug or anything it's overheated, so we're just going to leave that as is, and I can more than likely get away with reusing that gasket. I'll just put some blue seal around it and do it. If it leaks, I'll bugger it, we'll take it off, and, you know, but it's 15 quid we ain't got to spend on a gasket. So yes, so we're just waiting for the puller now, but I'm happy with where we've got to, and I'm satisfied in my own head that is absolutely does need doing. It was probably why the motorbike was parked up in the first place, because doing this would scare off a lot of people. To me, this is it's no different to doing a clutch, really, and the procedure is no different to doing a clutch. It's pretty much the same. But while we're here, yes, that's actually, interestingly enough, and I had this with my other Aprilia. On a Japanese bike, that would be a solid multi-block. But on this one, each individual wire has its own block. Yes, I will take them apart. Yes, I will clean them. That was just for my satisfaction and to stop the whingers. It won't stop the whingers. Anyway, I did have a quick look at the wiring diagram. And I tried to look for these, but I mean, this could be a replacement loom, this could be a scrapyard loom, I just don't know. And it might have even been for the BMW, I haven't got a clue. But we know the coil's good, so we know that's good. It's mounted and earthed properly, because you've got to remember that's a rare earth magnet. It does need a bloody good earth, otherwise you're basically giving electricity away. But what I'm going to do over the course of the next few days and over the Christmas holiday, hopefully I'll get the part inside the Christmas holiday. If I get the part, the puller's going to come tomorrow. A bit like me. Steady. I can do the bearing bit, and we know that bit's done. And then all I've got to do is I'll have a little nip down Alfred's and get the old oil, basically, because that, hopefully, fingers crossed, should sort it. But I am tempted, while we're getting into it, to just whip the starter out, because its gear is up here. That is Mr. Starter there. So unlike some Japanese bikes, you've got to be really careful to move the starter on some, because on some bikes it operates a chain, and its top sprocket is the top sprocket of the chain, and if you just pull it out, you fuck everything. Anyway, these breather pipes, well, that's a breather. Oh, what's this? Yeah, that's a breather. They're awfully close to that exhaust. I don't know whether it's such a low mileage bike. If those clocks are genuine, we won't know till we get an MOT check on it. But these seem to be effing close to that exhaust, and these are only rubber. There's no way they're going to survive. So I'm just wondering if somebody's just routed them as they think they should be routed. The great thing about the online service manual is it gives you routing for everything, and it's very clear. It's done a bit like an Airfix kit instruction. You know, everything's like it's a clear picture, and then what they do is they ghost the background and highlight what you're looking at. So like, for example, throttle cables, that its route is highlighted and everything else is blanked out. But all in all, I still think there is a good bike under this. It's got coolant, doesn't appear to be leaking. The manufacturing date there, look, week 51.97. Now this is a registered 99 bike, but you know, we all know what happens. They sit around in dealers, you know, they get built one, or the radiator was certainly built. They probably didn't change the radiator over the model years, so you could probably have the first model radiators on a later bike. Then, you know, same batch. But other than that, as I go through it, I'm learning. Yes, Jim is learning. I've just noticed the bottom of the airbox has a little bit of meltage, so I'm wondering if we're like missing a few heat shields and stuff. There's a bracket that snapped off the back of this exhaust silencer. It's held on very well, so I don't think it'll ever be a problem. But yeah, I don't know whether there should be heat shield in there or anything. I've seen a few heat shields for the VFR that aren't fitted on that one. Anyway, I'm rambling, you're all bored, I shall go now. Yes, I'm a child, but the fucking thing started. Look, Bernard, there's no need for language like that. Look what Uncle Barnyard's doing, boys and girls.
Yes.
Yes, we're laying a rail of the way.
Railway?
Yes. Ooh,
with my
yeah, budgie grit.
No, it's what you put in the bottom of your fish tank.
Chips.
It's cheaper than buying it.
Yeah, the bespoke stuff.
It's cheaper than buying it from the
model shop.
Model shop.
Yes.
It's
and
£15.
He's made himself a little platform and some buildings. Yes. And when it's all laid up, it looks rather good.
Yeah,
it does when it's done. It's just the effort.
I've got
plenty
of grass.
Blimey, sawdust grass. Yes.
Plenty there.
Lovely.
Uncle Robert. Strange fella.
Yes, rides a motorcycle, can't be trusted. Yes.
Yes, like that.
Yes. Rob's a bit like syphilis, isn't he? He's all right in small doses.
Yeah. And then one takes
the hammer,
and one taps it.
Oh, I see. You're settling it, are you?
Settling it down in between the railway lines.
Yes. Oh, jolly good. Yes, jolly good. I wondered what all the tapping was as I was outside.
It was me tapping.
Yes.
Then you give it a rub with your finger.
Oh, yes.
Like,
yes. Oh,
like so.
Lovely. Yes. Well, it's a little treat for somebody that's tuned in to look at a motorcycle, isn't it? It is. Everybody got to have a hobby, Bernard. Got to have a hobby.
Did you go to school with Simon Rathbone?
Simon Rathbone?
I told you, Billy's lad.
Hang on. Let me stop the camera just in case this gets into a lawsuit. Right, what I'm doing now, why I have the motorcycle in a state of undress, and I know it starts, which is 90% of all problems sorted, is while we've got this wiring loom exposed. I mean, it's exposed as soon as you take the seat off, but while I've done it, I've put the new air filter in, and I'm just splitting all the multi-plugs and putting a bit of plus gas in, or WD-40, 3-in-1 oil, whatever you've got, and it just basically is an insurance policy against corrosion in the future. The first one I've split, absolutely spotless. There's some little furries inside the stator one, not too bad though. So I'm just going to go through and do the rest while I'm here. Yes. Well folks, as you can see, the puller has come in from to get the come on Jim, think, the spread clutch and the flywheel off. You can actually get the flywheel off. In fact, I've already got the flywheel off. I'm going to show you the assembly. This is it without the spread clutch, etc. This is the back portion of the spread clutch, which is the gear wheel, which is ultimately spun by the starter, which is up here, which goes spinny, spinny, spinny on that one, which in turn goes spinny, spinny, spinny on this one, which spins this one. And this gear is free rotating on the crank. Basically, it sits in on like a sort of a brass bushing, and that is free to rotate when you go on the starter. And then what happens is you have a ring of roller bearings on that, which then sit inside a housing that the flywheel is bolted to. You can probably see some of it, well, all of it there. I will show you closer in a minute. And when you go on the starter, those ball bearings go out and then they grip the flywheel, which then thumps the engine over, and fingers crossed the bastard starts. Anyway, there are a known weak point on these and the BMWs and a lot of big singles. Weak point on Viragos and stuff as well, funnily enough. Spread clutches. But I will attempt to show you it. Anyway, this is the other part, which is, as you can see, it's got a keyway, and that keyway obviously goes onto the crankus shaftus. So this part is attached to the crankus shaftus, and then great camera work, Jim, fucking magic. The inside of it is this bit here, and inside that recess the sprag clutch bearings sit, and basically they're big roller bearings which are held in place with a tension wire to allow them to shoot in and out. There's slight wear marks in this. It's not bad at all. By its very nature it will get wear marks, but that's not bad at all. It's a hefty item, because obviously along with the stator, that's the outer stator ring, this on its own is heavy enough to be a flywheel, but that bolts to it basically as well, which makes it a super hefty item. And then basically your bearings, which is this, yes, as you can see, the tension wire has lost its tension. We've actually lost one of the bearings, it's on the floor, but these bearings all sit in little cages like that, and like I say, when you push the starter they go out and grip, and then I bet you won't go in there now, will you little bastard? No, it's very difficult to do this one-handed. It's the fucking first time I've ever said that. Let's just have a look at the bearing. Yeah, they're a bit like they have similar systems in some scooters. It's a bit like a tiny version of the rollers of a scooter. When it flings out, you see these aren't perfectly round. They're that shape to allow them to rotate. So when they're in one position, a bit like a camshaft lobe, when they're in one position they ain't touching note, or they're not gripping, and when they're flung out they grip, a bit like a scooter roller. And then this cage, when they're all in, this cage sits there and cages it all in, and then a few of the bolts, 4 of the bolts will pass through here, and then they get nutted on the back. So that is the sprag clutch, and hopefully I've explained in non-footwit terms how it works. Basically that's freewheeling from the starterage, motorage, and it it grips this shit, and when this shit's spinning, it'll go dug 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 till it runs out of fuel, hopefully. So anyway, yes, I've shown you that. The clutch is on its way. I've got a new housing. This cage comes with it anyway, so I've got a new housing coming, I've got a new cage coming, and I've got the bearings coming. In theory, the housing and the cage don't look bad at all. I mean, at all. There is very, very little wear, and as far as I'm aware, that is the original Aprilia part, or Rotax part rather, and it is the bearing that fails. Now, I can understand why people would park it up. I said it earlier on in the video. I can understand why this would be parked up for that problem, because you will absolutely not guarantee that it will start, because if they're not gripping, or one of those rollers have come out, it can't do its job, because it'll play Mr. Floppy Dick, and it won't do it. So probably there's a load of these that are parked up out there because of that problem. Hand gestures. But this, to me, when we first saw the advert, because I passed it along to Mark as well, because Mark's got the BMW version of this, and what we're going to do when this is all up and running is we'll ride them together, and we'll put them together and just point out the differences. One thing I do know is Mark's BMW frame is totally different to this. So yes, I don't know whether later models of this they change the frame, but Mark's is very much thinner. It's like that going up. And one thing I've always found about Aprilias is they've always had beautiful frames. I mean, the frame on my Falco was a work of art. I've got upside downy forks, he's got normal sidey uppy forks. His fuel tank was moved under here on the BMW ones. I don't know whether it was on later Pegasos, because I'm really just starting to learn about these. So where my airbox is, his fuel tank is, and where I'm presuming that where his tank is false, and maybe the airbox is in the tank, I don't know, because he's on fuel injection throttle bodies, we're on twin carby tinkles. His is a twin plug head, and this is the single plug single plug 5 valve Aprilia head. I'm thinking the Aprilia makes more power, might be wrong, but a 5 valve head would suggest so. I don't know about piston sizes, whether they're the same. Mark's exhaust goes the other side of the bike. This one goes along here, and obviously it routes into two silencers here, nice symmetrical silencers. If you had a custom system made up, you could quite easily just go to one silencer, but I quite like the symmetry. I love symmetrical bikes, which is why I put a twin pipe on Nibsy, because it just looks shit with a 4-inch1, in my opinion. Also, I've noticed on Mark's, this is the oil filter housing here. Mine has 2 voltages, Mark's got 3 voltages. Also, Mark mentioned something that the front sprocket nuts on the Beamers have a habit of undoing. This hasn't got a sprocket nut, it's keyed onto the shaft, and then you've got a circlip. The sprockets look in great order, they're just a bit rusty, but they're in great order. There's not a lot of wear on these, and there's loads of adjustment, as we've already said, on the chain of chainage. So yeah, this is how far we've got. The clutch is on its way, so I think I'm going to end this video here, and I will take this opportunity. Oh, the wind is trying to open my doors because it's effing windy out. Let's just hope that stays shut for a moment. Take this opportunity. I probably won't get another video out before Crimblage. If the clutch comes in and I've got time to fit it, I will film it and I will release that just as a clutch fitting. Will you behave now? Honestly, the spirits will not leave me alone. Guilty conscience. So I'm going to take this opportunity to wish you all a Merry Christmas, and you know, try and make the best of it you can, because everybody's is different. I love Christmas now. I love it. Used to hate it. Because it used to be very, very stressful, very, very fucking expensive. And I never used to feel adequate enough for it, and now couldn't give a fuck. I love it, absolutely love it, and I really look forward to having the family over because we have my aunt and uncle over, and we've got the doggy this year, and my sister and my brother-in-law, and we have a cracking good chilled out time. We have a big quiz and all that lot, but it's, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So you know, and try and enjoy your crimblage. It's what it's all about, whether you're with a load of family or whether you're on your own. Make the best of it. If you are on your own, can I please borrow some chairs?